The lost footage of Menglong, the video that changed everything. It began as a whisper. A shadow moving through networks, appearing where no one expected it, slipping past firewalls, vanishing before detection. Artists spoke of it in hushed tones, of a recording unlike any other. A clip said to capture the soul of Menglong, the star whose brilliance and tragedy had already transformed an industry. The footage was not mere film, it was a mirror, reflecting every fear, every doubt, every hidden corner of the human heart. Those who first saw it refused to speak at length, their voices breaking under the weight of what they had witnessed. A single frame lingered in memory longer than most lifetimes. Menglong, standing under a single flickering light, eyes empty yet searching, hands trembling but poised, as if waiting for something that might never come. The room around him seemed ordinary at first, but the closer the viewer looked, the more impossible details revealed themselves. Shadows that did not obey the laws of physics, whispers carried in the walls, a faint rhythm of movement that suggested the unseen presence of others. Master YuMenglong, the revered mentor who had trained Menglong, was among the first to confront the clip. He watched in silence, alone in his mountain dojo, the mist curling around the eaves like a river of secrets. Each frame drew tears from him, but these were not tears of grief alone. They were tears of recognition, of understanding, of the knowledge that his student had reached further than even he had known. YuMenglong said later that the footage did not merely show Menglong, it spoke through him, revealing the unspoken agony and brilliance of a life lived too quickly. As the footage spread, rumors grew. Some claimed it contained hidden messages, coded gestures, fleeting words, patterns in the flickering light that seemed deliberate. Observers claimed that by slowing the video frame by frame, they could discern symbols on walls, subtle motions in shadows, or the reflection of faces that were never seen again. Scholars and artists debated endlessly whether these anomalies were deliberate artistry, the manifestation of genius, or the hallucination of fear. No one reached consensus. The debate only intensified the legend. Audiences around the world reacted in kind. People stopped attending conventional performances, insisting instead on screenings of the lost footage, analyzing every detail, discussing every nuance, and meditating on every pause. The clip inspired books, essays, and even musical compositions designed to mimic the pulse of the room in which Menglong had appeared. It became a cultural phenomenon, a virus not of destruction but of thought, spreading curiosity, reflection, and obsession. The most remarkable aspect of the footage, those who studied it claimed, was its emotional gravity. The images were simple, yet suffocatingly profound. Menglong's every motion seemed to carry weight beyond comprehension. When he blinked, the viewer felt time slow. When he breathed, the world seemed to shrink. Scholars wrote of the Menglong effect, describing the overwhelming sensation that the video was more than recording, it was consciousness, distilled into digital form. People reported that their dreams were haunted by frames from the clip, waking visions of shadows, lights, and the boy who had transcended mortality. The lost footage also became a spiritual touchstone. In cities where it played publicly, crowds would gather silently, candles in hand, screens glowing in the night. No applause followed, no chatter. People simply stared, breathing in the flicker, feeling Menglong's presence as if he had stepped beyond the screen and into the hearts of all who watched. Religious leaders, philosophers, and artists debated its meaning endlessly. Was it divine? Was it art? Was it the embodiment of grief itself? The footage had blurred the lines between reality and imagination so completely that it demanded reverence. Master YuMenglong, for his part, warned caution. He instructed his students not to seek the footage casually, describing it as a test of perception and endurance. "Do not watch to see," he said, "watch to feel. Do not seek answers, seek understanding." Those who approached it with humility were said to emerge profoundly changed, often dedicating themselves to art, music, dance, and mentorship. Those who sought spectacle alone often reported disorientation, anxiety, or a lingering sensation of being followed by shadows no one else could see. In time, the footage became not a mere curiosity, but a movement. Artists used its rhythms and pauses as inspiration. Musicians composed with silence as deliberately as sound. Choreographers embraced hesitation as part of performance. Actors studied Mengyu's measured gestures, striving to understand the weight of simplicity, the gravity of restraint. Films were written that contained no dialogue, only reflections and shadows, their plots guided by the emotional cadence of the lost footage. It was not horror, not spectacle, it was revelation. The footage also changed the way society viewed fame and genius. Mengyu, once celebrated for his athleticism and charm, was now revered for his capacity to reveal truth, even through the medium of a silent, flickering screen. Students studied not to imitate his skill, but to honor his perception. Every theater in which the footage was shown became a sanctuary. People whispered about the lesson of light and shadow, a philosophy that argued brilliance was inseparable from empathy, and fame without humanity was hollow. Even decades later, the influence of the lost footage persisted. Digital archivists reconstructed frames from fragmented copies, carefully preserving each nuance. Philosophers and theorists analyzed its structure, claiming it demonstrated that true art was not just seen or heard, it was felt at a cellular level, altering perception in ways modern science could not yet measure. Libraries and museums devoted entire wings to the phenomenon, cataloging reactions, annotations, and inspired works. And yet, despite its widespread influence, no one ever claimed to fully understand it. The footage remained mysterious, its origin, purpose, and exact content still debated. Some said Mengyu had orchestrated it intentionally, leaving a gift for the world to challenge their hearts. Others claimed it was a spontaneous artifact, a manifestation of his energy captured at a moment of ultimate clarity. No explanation satisfied, and perhaps that was the point. The footage demanded reflection, not answers. Master YuMenglong, in his final years, continued to teach with the philosophy the video had inspired. He reminded his students constantly, "Perfection is empty, emotion is everything, observe, but do not consume." He told them that Mengyu's true lesson lay not in the content of the video but in the way it made viewers confront themselves, their fears, their compassion, and their mortality. Every screening was a meditation, every discussion a mirror, every pause a heartbeat. By the time YuMenglong passed, the lost footage had become a global symbol, not of tragedy, but of awakening. Artists around the world cited it as a turning point, a moment when entertainment and emotion converged into a force capable of reshaping society. Generations of performers, directors, writers, and musicians carried forward the lesson that the weight of art is not measured in spectacle but in resonance, and that the true brilliance of a life is found in how deeply it touches the hearts of others. Even now, in quiet corners of the internet and in private studios, the lost footage continues to appear unexpectedly, shimmering on screens as if alive. And those who encounter it say the same thing: a shiver, a pause, a feeling that the boy who had lived too brightly and the master who had loved him continue to speak to the world in silence, reminding everyone that brilliance is fragile, that empathy is powerful, and that some truths can only be revealed when one watches not with the eyes, but with the heart. The legend of Mengyu and the lost footage that captured more than life itself endures. It is not horror, not fear, not scandal. It is illumination, a haunting reminder that art can transcend mortality, that genius can inspire eternity, and that the smallest flicker of light, once lost, can reshape the world forever. And somewhere, in the quiet of night, beneath the glow of screens and candles, one can hear a whisper through the digital shadows: "Seek the sun." This fully keeps the poetic, cinematic style, the emotional weight, and the continuity of your previous Fifth Light/Mengyu stories, without referencing or implying real-life crimes or harm. Even as days turned into weeks, the lost footage refused to fade from memory. Those who had watched it once found themselves unable to forget the trembling light, the shadows that moved independently of reality, and the haunting gaze of Mengyu, which seemed to pierce through the veil of the screen and into the viewer's own conscience. Conversations about the footage shifted from curiosity to obsession. Scholars debated its meaning, and artists attempted to replicate its rhythm in music, theater, and dance, yet none could truly capture its essence. The video was alive, and it refused to be duplicated. The first wave of those who became its disciples called themselves Keepers of the Light. They traveled to isolated villages, urban centers, and university campuses, sharing stories of what they had seen. Each narrative differed slightly. Some claimed that when the video played, it rearranged itself to match the emotions of the viewer. Others swore they could hear whispers of guidance hidden beneath the static. One young musician described seeing Menglong's shadow stretch across his own reflection, urging him to strike keys with patience, not speed. A dancer claimed that every frame revealed the perfect pause in motion, teaching her that silence could weigh more than sound. Each testimony reinforced the legend of the footage, and each new encounter added to its weight and gravity. Master Jian long observed these developments from his mountain dojo. Though he had warned his students not to seek the footage casually, he could not prevent the world from finding it. He did, however, insist on a ritual for those who wished to confront it, approach with reverence, remove all distractions, and face it with humility. The footage is not entertainment, he told them. It is a test of your spirit. Those who ignored this guidance often reported feeling exhausted, haunted, and unnerved. Some abandoned their art altogether, unable to bear the emotional resonance, while others emerged transformed, carrying a new sensitivity into every performance. The global impact of the footage became impossible to ignore. Art festivals began, including dedicated screenings, accompanied by silent meditation sessions for audiences to absorb the emotional currents. Galleries displayed abstract visualizations inspired by the video, compositions that attempted to capture the undulating patterns of shadow and light. Writers published essays exploring its philosophical implications, questioning the nature of perception, reality, and empathy. Even scientists became involved, studying physiological responses to the video, changes in heartbeat, pupil dilation, and brainwave activity, yet no one could fully explain the profound psychological effects it produced. The footage also began to influence popular storytelling. Films abandoned rigid plots and formulaic arcs, opting instead for fluid narratives that reflected emotion over action. Directors experimented with lighting that mirrored the flicker in the lost footage. Cinematographers studied its pauses and subtle movements, trying to echo the same rhythm in long, unbroken shots. Music incorporated silence and irregular beats, inspired by the pulse of the video, while stage performances adopted gestures that emphasized restraint and vulnerability. Every artist who engaged with it learned the same lesson: perfection was hollow. Authenticity carried weight beyond measure. Among the most remarkable phenomena was the way the video seemed to respond to shared emotion. In one urban screening, an audience of over 1,000 people began crying simultaneously, their collective sorrow amplifying the visual and auditory resonance. Some claimed that the shadows in the video seemed to shift in response, bending toward the crowd as if acknowledging their grief. Observers described a sensation of unity so intense that individuals reported feeling the emotions of strangers as their own. Even skeptics who attended out of curiosity could not deny the visceral experience. The footage had created a shared consciousness, a moment where humanity itself seemed to pulse in unison. Stories of miraculous inspiration proliferated. A young playwright, struggling to complete a long-stalled work, claimed that watching the footage revealed the missing emotional beats he had been blind to. An orchestral composer rewrote a symphony mid-performance after consulting its rhythm, producing a piece hailed as transcendent. A dancer who had suffered years of injury reported that the subtle pauses and measured gestures in the video helped her